Ooh, that was loud. Welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, sharing this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome. Welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness. I want to just go into a little flow. I'm on a little bit of a vacation and my internet's a little spotty, so we'll see if this actually records. And I just felt like going into flow with the guide. So hopefully the sound is okay. Yeah, was meant to be felt, not necessarily understood on a linear basis. I'm just kind of waking up. I'm going to invite everybody just to take a deep breath in and drop into your heart, drop into your body. Notice what you're feeling. So amidst all of this seeming chaos, I'm just going to drop into flow. Amidst all this seeming chaos, there is an energetic disturbance in the matrix or fabric of reality. And this disturbance is a code, you might call it. It comes with a code, an access point that allows us to signal to it that we are accessible. So it's all play on words. I'm just kind of warming up here. I can see what I'm talking about, but I might come back and share what I see later or as I go. This disturbance in the field creates a wedge, and this is a physics kind of description. It creates a wedge that allows for a symphony of adjustments to be met, to be matched, to be made, to be paired with. And so while this chaos ensues, simultaneously, an infinite particle distribution or a redistribution of particle. Wow, I'm just going to see if I can drop in here. A redistribution of a particulate of matter is being dropped in, one might say. I'm seeing all these little parachutes dropping in. This is an energetic redistribution of frequency, if you will. We are speaking here of wave mechanics. We are speaking here of elemental dispensation, play on words. We are speaking of what one might say a quantum leap being made. And so while the old chemistry sets are being played, the old patterns of seek and destroy, the old patterns of look this way, and the old patterns of chaos disrupt the disruptors, if you will, of peace and joy and bliss. The reharmonization of just that is now here, or is held now, or is being held at a higher match. All it takes is one spark to light the entire playground and bring it out of the dark. And there are many sparks that are being lit currently, while that which is going along currently is seeking to pull down the frequency of the light tribe, one might call it. We would invite you to feel into the deeper depths of you, the human, the deeper configurations that are zigzagging and streaming through the collective of humans that are collectively rebirthing themselves, that are collectively coming together to share in a tumultuous yet harmonious, simultaneous time. There are times that this feels confusing. There are times that this feels constricting. We feel held or encapsulated at times within an old system. And yet we, the energies that are all around you in this sea, this ocean of infinity that is interwoven, patterned, synchronized, embedded within the framework of reality, are all coming together, one might say, in collaboration to assist with this time, this tumultuous activation, so that we can each and every one of us begin to feel into the complexity of our reality. But we must feel this way through the simplicity held within the complexity. For at the root of every fine wine, one might say, are the base flavors that come together to create the outstanding caliber that is of the highest quality. And each of you has a multitude of ingredients, we might say. Sorry, I'm being shown, like, if you have a fine wine, the base is a grape, but some is Pinot, some is Merlot, some is Cabernet, whatever the grape is. And you add all these other ingredients to add complexity to it. But the simplicity is in the actual grape. And what I'm being shown is all of these vines with different grapes growing together to come together to create a new, what do you call it? Vintage, not just a new vintage, like it's a new age, but an actual hybrid. So the energies that we are redistributing, one might say, were already here to begin with. We will come back and play with these words at a different time, but we invite you to think of physics or quantum technology, whatever comes to mind when you think of a quantum interface. There is much that you cannot see. There is much that cannot be understood. And yet the patterns are still there. The sound is still there. The frequency still exists. So the frequency that everyone is searching for of bliss, of freedom, of expansion already exists within as the basic grape, as the concord, if you will. I'm a little emotional. There's a lot of energy that's kind of coming in, not only now, but in the last few days. A lot of emotions. You know, we've had a lot of memories that are attached to this particular time that resurface and then are stirred up because of certain things that are happening in the collective on purpose to stir up these memories that are both good and bad, if we want to label them as such, positive and negative. And so while we are collectively reassimilating this new vintage, if you will, you will look back down the road at this time when you are ready to, I'm hearing, take the cork out of the bottle. We're using a lot of wine references here. So if you don't drink, or if you've never had wine, you can just look up how wine is made. But they're using it as an example. Like, it's not just about, it's the grape. It's what you add to the grape. It's how the grape is processed. It's who's processing it. It's this whole beautiful vintage that later on we go, we'll have that bottle from, 2025. You might be surprised at what comes about because of this particular moment in time. And so we are using this example so that you can recognize the senses that are required in order to really be able to taste the subtleties within a bottle, if you will. I'm seeing an hourglass. I'm just being shown that each and every one of us, I'm being called to talk about a dream I had. I had a dream there were all these mutants, like X-Men. Have you guys ever seen those movies? I haven't watched those movies, by the way, in years, but I do dream about these mutants quite frequently. And in this dream, I wasn't the only one. There were many of us that were assisting people to realize that they were the mutants. And it was special. Like everybody has something special to bring. Everybody's special in their own way, not in an ego way, not in a I'm better than you or you're better than me way. We each have something to bring, I'm hearing, to offer. And we're all connected through this fabric. There is no separation. It's an illusion. And we've been so, in my dream, I was talking with people who weren't necessarily very nice. And I was saying, look, this is your superpower. And all of a sudden, this person who really was all caught up in whatever they were caught up in had a moment where they realized that there was something bigger in themselves than being selfish or being, it was almost like there's a lot of people that haven't been seen or haven't felt like they've been seen. And so instead, they try to make a lot of noise. They do a lot of things to overcompensate for that. And as people start to realize that they don't have to do that, it all comes from here, here. What we do with here is what makes an impact in the larger picture. And in small increments, people are starting to go, well, how can I be felt, seen, heard? And rather than trying to get louder and louder and louder when they don't really know, I'm hearing what the wine is made of, if that makes sense. It's like, I want this, this, and this in my wine. And then you ask them, well, what is wine? What is it made out of? They don't even know. There's no substance. It's all flavor that's not built from any. So this is a metaphor for many things. And what we're being called and asked to do is recognize the substance all comes from the same juice. But how we choose to flavor that juice is up to us. And we're starting to recognize, I think there's more to this. They're showing me more. I'm just trying to kind of differentiate here between, it's like they're showing me the grapes. So it's a metaphor for something much bigger than wine, clearly. Once we go within and we traverse the landscape and terrain that is inside of us, we begin to find what it is we've been looking for the whole time. And we begin to create with an abundance of creativity, joy, feeling. We offer to those around us our feelings of connection, of completeness, rather than the incomplete definition that we have attributed or defined something as without knowing the truth behind where the word originated from originally. And so we are coming back to an origination point now. This is, I'm hearing the wedge. This is an origination point at this time that is starting a brand new cycle, a brand new way of being, yet using the ingredients that we already have on hand. It is an evolution of sorts. So we would invite everyone who is feeling out of sorts to sort out your own inner turmoil first before looking to fix the turmoil that is outside of us. For if we are not focusing inwardly to project our reality outwardly, we are continuing to feed the projection of someone else's reality. We are feeding that rather than coming from the fruit within, the fruit of our labor, so to speak. We are going through labor pains for someone else, birthing their wow, just saw two huge planes go like right by my window. Was not expecting that. So I'm being shown, oh my gosh, you guys, the energy in the mountains is crazy. I'm used to being at sea level. And when you come up to the mountains, it's a lot for those of you who are sensitive. From my perspective, it's a lot. And why would we go through the birthing pains for someone else and birth something that we didn't even realize we were painfully feeling, experiencing, expressing? We wouldn't. Yet that is what many of us are doing. And so we are being called to go back to the drawing board, to go back and feel into what our own creative processes look like, feel like, sound like. How is our communication? How are we communicating our needs and wants and desires? Are we asking the right questions? Are we asking any questions? Mewa dia shukoye bakone wai ish ikai nini. Wawae shu yenenakai ish iakohe nini. Are we vocalizing thought patterns that are not even our own, yet we believe they are because we are not listening to our own resources? We are parroting, if you will, or repeating someone else's belief system, someone else's thought patterns that are floating around in the ethers, one might say, that make up part of the way in which we believe reality is being created and fed to us. I'm seeing a bunch of people off of feeding tubes, basically. It's like the Matrix. They referenced the Matrix in the beginning of this video. This is not meant to be, this message is not meant to be expressed. It's not coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of, oh, I'm hearing like a quote from, I'm just seeing, as I'm looking out this beautiful window with all the trees and how everything's connected through the mycelium. Recognizing that when we're afraid of something, we're fearing ourselves, we're fearing those. And I'm just seeing people not being afraid to come together, yet be aware of what we're really coming together for, rather than harnessing or focusing on a particular it's like supporting the human. It's not supporting necessarily the stories or the beliefs. It's supporting, wow, look at this beautiful piece of art that this other human created. Wow, look at this beautiful community garden that we're coming together, and look at the conservation that we're helping with picking up trash off the beach together. I mean, it seems so simple, but it goes back to the grapes. I keep hearing harvesting the grapes. It's like doing these little things that add up to show each other that we care about caring about each other and the earth and the planet and the animals. How we do that, though, is going to look different for everyone. For some people, their passion, they don't necessarily believe in the same things. I'm really being called to just, if you are listening to this and you have a particular strong held, this is how the world is. My guides keep showing me that it's not. Sometimes we know things, we have dreams, I have dreams that come true, and we sometimes have all these conspiracy theories or whatever you want to call it that actually end up becoming true. But I'm being shown that there's always another truth behind that. And there's always another truth behind that. So it's not getting totally caught up in just those things. It's what are we doing to transition from that we're finding out is maybe real, so that it's doesn't necessarily isn't supported in any longer. And those are some of the more, negative structures of reality, of control, we'll say. Getting back into nature, nurturing nature, allowing yourself to feel nurtured by nature, getting back to the original human nature, which is not survival. That is a story. That is a story that we have been taught because that is what we believed to be true. What if everything we believed to be true was a story that we believed in that made it true? And while this is going very woo-woo, we would invite you to reorganize your own senses, your own structures of reality, and reassess what it is that you would like to believe in to be true. So I'm being shown even some of these stories that are dark that we know are coming out. We're being called not to focus all of our attention on just those. What are we creating so that those stories don't get recreated? And then we readjust and we reassess and we readjust. And this creates a new foundation. It starts to chip away at the old foundation, which is already chipped away. And it creates a new, I'm just hearing a new frequency of sound that becomes the base harmonic. And then because that layer has a certain harmony or frequency, the other stuff that's been sitting on that layer of reality, there's no foundation to hold it anymore, which we've all been talking about and listening to for a while from other channelers and I don't know, people like myself. But I think most of you guys have felt it too. It doesn't feel the same because it isn't the same. And the old stuff is no longer supported, even though it seems like it is, because a lot of what we're getting the information from is an old system. So go within, allow yourself to feel into your heart, your body, your mind, all of it. Use it all. Use all of your senses and come back to, what would I like to create in my new reality? To be continued. I have so much more. I'll go back in and maybe kind of work out what some of those physics words were all about. Namaste.